The telling of scary stories, of course, has been popular for many centuries, and usually they take up some time. But did you know that scary stories can be just as effective if it's only two sentences? If you didn't, you'd be surprised to know how many such stories exist. But tonight, we will be reading a small sample of them. Here are 22 sentence horror stories that are just as effective as any other. I was having a pleasant dream when suddenly what sounded like hammering woke me up. After that, I could barely hear the muffled sound of dirt covering the coffin over my own screams.
I looked in my rearview mirror and saw my best friend in the back seat. She passed away 7 years ago in a car crash.
The last thing I saw was the alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting fingers into my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was just a dream. But as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open.
I woke up to the sound of the baby monitor crackling with a voice comforting my firstborn child. As I adjusted to a new position, my arm brushed against my husband, sleeping next to me.
Lightning streaked across the sky, a knife in my hand and blood on my shirt. Sirens wailed as justice came closer and closer. I thought to myself, I never did like her.
I always thought my cat had a staring problem. She always seemed fixed on my face. Until one day, I found out she was always looking just behind me.
There was a picture in my cell phone of me sleeping in my bed. I live alone.
I can't move, breathe, or speak. And it's always dark in here. If I knew this would be so lonely, I would have been cremated instead. The doll was one of Marilyn's favorite possessions. It kept her from feeling lonely in an empty house. But at night, as she listened to the sound of tiny fingers fumbling at her bedroom door, she wondered how long she had before it learned how to find its way inside.
After the last dead bird fell from the tree, the little boy aimed his slingshot at a neighbor walking out of his house. Birds weren't as fun anymore. As I tucked my son into bed, he looked at me frightened and said, "There's something under my bed." I play along and looked down there and saw him. Another him. In a frightened whisper, he said, "Daddy, there's something on my bed."
My 5-year-old son sometimes talks in his sleep. The strange part is, he doesn't know how to speak Latin.
Don't be afraid of the monsters. Just look for them. Look to your left, to your right, under the bed, in the closet. Just don't look up. She hates being seen.
I woke up to find my cell phone had fallen off my dresser. I went to pick it back up, but another hand was already there.
A girl heard her mom yell her name downstairs. She ran down the stairs, but as she reached the bottom, a hand pulled her into a room. Her mother whispered, "I heard it too."
When we first bought the house, I assumed the scratch marks on the inside of the basement door was from a dog. But The neighbor said the previous owner didn't have one. The next day, the scratches multiplied.
In all the time I've lived alone in this house, I swear I've closed more doors than I've opened.
My wife woke me up one night, believing she heard an intruder. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago.
The grinning face stared at me from my window late at night. I live on the 14th floor.
I woke up to hear knocking on glass. I thought it was coming from the window, but then I heard it come from the mirror again.
Thank you guys for watching this week's collection of stories. If there's a horror story that we missed and you'd like to share it, feel free to share the creepy 2 sentences in the comments. Also, a very special thanks to Lovely Ghostwriter for helping me with this one. You can find her lovely narrations in the channel link below. That's all for now. This is Master O' Horror. Happy hauntings.